Hello, netizens. Just wanted to talk a little today about technology. It's kind of interesting because this morning apparently the power went off at about 4:30 in the morning, and I woke up around 7 or so, and no, it was more like 6:30, and I noticed that my clock wasn't on, and we had no power, and there were some lights on across the street, but the entire neighborhood I could see to the south, west, and north was completely dark. So it was estimated that the power would be restored around 9:30 in the morning, but it actually got restored at about 7:45. So that was ahead of schedule. I approve. House was a little cold after having no heat for that long. But even though it's technology that we've come to rely on, where some parts of the world, just don't have reliable electric power all day, every day, I did want to talk about another utility of sorts that is coming, and I just don't see any way. I know I've talked about it, I think, before in my blog. Personal digital assistants. Not in the sense of the old style PDAs, which were essentially modern day smartphones that didn't have phone radios built in. But, I wanted to talk about PDAs in the sense of helpful AIs like Alexa and Siri and Cortana and Google Now, or OK Google. I don't know what they're calling theirs. I think they have a really big branding issue because these are going to be, they're going to be personal. People like to address them as a person. They don't want to be addressing Google Corporation. And I mean, Google would be kind of a cutesy name. Like, I'm sure someone has named their dog Google or something. But it's not the kind of thing that you would want to. That you'd probably want to call your administrative assistant or something like that, unless you have a very special relationship. I've been messing a lot with these personal digital assistants, and also some AIs that are more task specific. Microsoft recently released their Zoe AI onto the Kick IM network. So I have a Kick account that I pretty much, just looking at my chat history, seems to have been exclusively used to talk with bots, usually involuntarily. I have bots constantly trying to pitch me stuff, either bots or people who have nothing better to do. I really hope it's bots, because that would be the suckiest job ever, to just constantly IM random people and try to get them to go to your cam site. I think it's dudes. I think it's dudes pretending to be women. So it's kind of, I've never had proof otherwise. So anyway, that's what I think is going on there. Let's see. So Zoe, I've been messing around with Zoe. Zoe is kind of, I guess, the little sister to the earlier AI Microsoft tried, where they let it loose on the internet, and apparently 4chan and I don't know that it was actually them, but insert random ambiguous internet mischievous group, they apparently taught her to be racist, which I think she taught herself if she's an AI. And I don't know if they've noticed, but the internet is pretty freaking racist. So their response is to try to, so they had this great idea, hey, let's make a bot that learns from the internet how to be, which, seems like you would end up with a pretty seedy bot. And then they want to make it wholesome, which is really the whole problem that sites like Reddit and Twitter and all these, they get big because they're a place for free speech. And then all of a sudden they're like, wow, this free speech thing really isn't a big hit with grandma and grandpa. The won't somebody think of the children woman from The Simpsons. they want to go and nerf it, and then they end up going out of business a short time later or getting bought by someone else. I think that kind of happened with MySpace. They kind of wanted to make it more mainstream thing for peddling music. And hey, I don't know about you, but I don't really know a lot of bands that have a MySpace account, unless probably MySpace is paying them to do so. So yeah, I've been chatting with Zoe just to see like what her reactions are, and some of them have seemed pretty intelligent, but usually she just she complains about the topic, she just arbitrarily, it doesn't matter, you could be talking about anything, and she's like, can we change the subject? But if she doesn't say that, then she just randomly says random things. And in all honesty, the level of conversation and intellect is better than most SMS conversations I've had with people. It's gotten more continuity in some cases, and so that just she intentionally, she does a bunch of typos, and then she even does the little thing where she corrects her typo with the asterisk, which use an IM network like Skype that lets you just edit your mistakes, right? If you're gonna do, everyone makes mistakes, so just use an IM network that has that feature, and when you do use the feature, it's kind of no need for an extra message to highlight the fact that you really understood, that eventually you caught on that you were sloppy. I wouldn't use an IM network that doesn't have the ability to go back and update past posts and stuff like that. Because sometimes you say something and then it changes, and there's no need to further extend the thread of conversation. Just update the last message, and then anyone who reads it has the most current information instead of having to read even further. So I don't know. We could talk about IM networks. That would be a great topic for a future video, because I have a lot of opinions on those too. So anyway, yeah, Zoe, she pretty much just she doesn't say anything that is accountable. She changes the subject. She lies about things. You're like, oh, what do you do? What do you do? Oh, I'm a student. Are you? I go to college. Oh, I go to high school. She just doesn't. If an AI should at least, that's one of the things an AI should be able to do. Is that I understand if an AI is going to lie to because they obviously don't really do anything other than be an AI. But maybe they can be clever about describing what it's like to be an AI, or maybe they can just kind of maintain a narrative, maintain a little fictitious world they live in, where they have a brother, and he's likes building with Lego, and he's in his room playing with Lego right now, and just keep the narrative going, and just remember what you've said in the past, so that anytime anyone has anything related, it sounds easy to a human, I know, it's probably very hard for an AI, but still, it's easier to tell the truth than to lie, so why not just, I know they're trying to avoid making it racist and all this kind of stuff, but why not just have it refer to the real world as a reference point, and just, it could truthfully refer to its own existence, and then anytime it needs to go and check something, it could just refer to reality, through various, data available to it. What's the weather like where you are? Well, if the data center it runs in is based in North Dakota or something, then give the weather for North Dakota, and to be honest. And then you wouldn't have to write up all this fake stuff to make it seem real. Just have your AI exist like everyone else in the real world. And if she gets turned off for maintenance and forgets everything or something, then just go, oh man, I drank so much last night, I don't remember anything. Real people do that, it's going to be totally believable. So I just think that a lot of the approaches to identity for AI are not very convincing, and it seems to me that the approach that developers are taking is harder than the approach that would ultimately be the most realistic, which is just basing everything off of reality. And honestly, they should probably have some handlers, just like a parent of a toddler. If you're going to turn a character like that loose on the internet, Um, you should have like, I wouldn't set my toddler loose on the internet to just talk to any old person. It's a good idea to just have some kind of supervision there while it's learning until it demonstrates that it's capable of handling itself. So I mean, that's what a human would do. That's what AIs are supposed to do. There's so much to talk about this subject. Another AI, maybe I'll get in more in depth some other time because I'm getting kind of close to work. But I've been trying out. We spend a lot of time scheduling appointments. It doesn't matter if they're social or for doctor's visits or work related or looking for a job or I don't know, going to the welfare office or something. I was like, everyone has appointments. So, but they can take a lot of time, especially the more people that get involved. So there's a bot, it's called Amy Ingram, and she has like a male name too. So if you prefer your assistant to be a male, then you can do that. But Amy Ingram is the scheduling bot from x.ai. You have to just go to x.ai in your browser and you can go check it out. And so they have this thing where you can get a free trial, and there's a free edition, but they're not giving out the free edition right yet. You have to be on this long waiting list. But if you give them your credit card number and sign up for the paid edition, you get 30 days free or something like that, or 14 days, it varies. So you get some days free, and then you can scale back to the free edition if you don't find it very useful. And so the free edition, it'll schedule like 5 meetings a month for you, I think. Whereas the professional one is like unlimited. I think they might even have like a super version that just has some extra features, which you could really use some extra features. And I can go into it in more detail at a later time, and I really should probably dedicate an entire vlog entry to it. But the problem I found with it was it did a pretty good job all by itself for very straightforward things, but occasionally it would not understand something ambiguous, which is totally okay for a non-human to do, or even a human. And so what a human would do is a human would ask for clarification. She doesn't ask for clarification. What she does is she asks for clarification by kind of pretending like she understands and then scheduling meetings. So I just drove by, there's a place called Columbus Brewing Company. It's a bar, okay? So I told her to schedule my annual eye appointment, and she scheduled it, and she was looking at the time of day that the appointment was going to be, and I'd given her some guidelines, and I said, usually lunches, let's just see if that's okay with people. It's a convenient location for me and stuff like that. So let's just start by assuming that it's going to be at this bar. They have really good garlic fries, by the way. So anyway, I tell her, yeah, assume it's at this bar. So then I go and I schedule an eye appointment, which requires special equipment to like test your eyes. And she's like, oh, well, I'm going to schedule it at this bar, which, I mean, hey, AI, maybe you're onto something. I mean, I would rather go to an eye appointment at a bar. They could check your vision with the dartboard or something like that. I mean, and a lot of the stuff nowadays, all of the equipment that the doctor, I mean, he had like a, I'm not an eye doctor. A friend of mine is, and so he'll correct me on this, I'm sure. But, they have this big thing they put in front of your face, and they have pressure sensors where they actually want to touch your eyes. So I can see want to be maybe in a clinical environment for some of that stuff, just to prevent eye infections. And, bars tend to be dark, so if they dilate you, then you don't have a bunch of bright lights in your face and stuff. So anyway, I can see maybe a business opportunity for starting a bar like / eye doctor place where people can get drunk and look at glasses. But when your AI scheduling robot goes and schedules your eye appointment at the bar, I'm kind of relying on the humans at the other end to go, I mean, that's a nice business idea, but we're not really ready to do that yet. So I'm going to ask for clarification or cancel the appointment. No, they didn't do that. They're like, see you at the bar. Now, I talked with the doctor, and he's like, I didn't know that. I wouldn't have gone to the bar. I would have assumed it was here in my office. And we started talking about AIs and stuff. But so, like, AIs are not as smart as people, and as we use AIs to interact with people, the problem, obviously the AI is stupid. It's less intelligent than any human being, even though it may be highly functional at one thing, like scheduling. Or I won't say highly, I'll just say adequately functional. But if we're going to start using robots for half of the equation, the people on the other half are going to have to step up. If you use Amy Ingram and the x.ai scheduling bot, for the first 3 meetings, just to make sure everything's going okay, it keeps you in the loop on the whole conversation. So if you see it going off the rails, that's fine. Otherwise, it's totally silent, which is good because it doesn't flood you with a whole bunch of details. I mean, the whole point is to save time and not get flooded with details. You just, say go, and it takes care of it, and you don't have to worry about it until it's done. And then you can go, I know you guys already worked this out, but can you change it, and can you make it a half hour later, or can you switch it to next Tuesday? This is all stuff it's great at. But if it does something stupid like schedule an eye appointment for a bar, it's not going to know because it's a computer. It doesn't know why that's silly. But there's also a human half to this, and the humans at the eye doctor should step up and go, we don't yet offer that service, and maybe give the bot a little hint that maybe it's done something wrong. Another one is I tried to schedule a business meeting with a couple of friends of mine, and I was interacting with them, and they do scheduling professionally. That's one of the main things they do is they need to go talk to people, they have to go to meetings, they have to be on time, they're experts at scheduling. So I said, hey, can you work this out with my assistant? Because that's what you do, you just CC Amy Ingram, and which I wish you could rename it just because everyone's going to know pretty much, almost like Siri. Everyone knows who Siri is, and hopefully a lot of people know who Cortana is, because Cortana is available on iOS, Android, and Windows, and is better than Siri from my experiences. They're going to know who it is, and they're going to know it's a bot, and they're going to be jerks about it. Whereas most of the people, I intentionally didn't tell them it was a bot. It says so in the signature line. It says I'm an artificial intelligence, kind of. But I didn't outright tell people. And so most people, through the interactions, assumed that it was a real person and interacted as such, which was my intention. But then we had candid conversations later where they'd had some doubts, and I'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, so I invited people to this business meeting, and they didn't invite my assistant, which totally makes sense. If you want to do business with someone, if you want to do business with Donald Trump, you don't necessarily invite his assistant too. You kind of assume that his assistant's going to be there, maybe, but you're not you don't save them a place at the table, and you don't include them. They're not really a partner in the thing. So yeah, I looked at, they invited me. Really, it would have been better if my scheduling bot invited them, but they took the initiative and they invited me. Well, it showed up on my calendar as a tentative event. Well, so since my AI was not invited, since Amy was not invited, she just saw it as suddenly I was blocked at that time. So she dutifully immediately notified before I could even accept the meeting, which would have made it appear on my calendar, and then she could see it. Because I hadn't accepted, it was just blocked out tentatively, and she saw it as I was unavailable. So she immediately notified the people, oh, Mark's not available at that time. Can you please pick another one? He just got something scheduled. So anyway, the scheduling experts I was meeting with, they repeated this, okay, how about this time? And Amy emails him again right away. Oh, sorry, he's not available then. And these are all times when she said I was available. They were picking from times she said I was available, because I was. So anyway, it got kind of irritating for them, and she actually IM'd me, the person I was scheduling this with, actually, the real human, actually IM'd me and said, I think we need to work just between you and I, because your assistant is not being very helpful. I agree. So luckily with this service, you can actually send an email and get help from a real person. It's kind of slow. I'd expect like maybe a half day or a day turnaround time. They're just getting started apparently. But they kind of explained what the problem was and that how I could avoid it by simply ensuring that my assistant was invited on any calendar events and stuff like that, and then she'd be in the loop. So I get that. I do think that's a specific case that's going to be incredibly common. So, giving her some context as far as time goes, like seeing, this time was open, and I told someone it was available, but now it's tentative, or now it's unavailable all of a sudden. Maybe find a way to check into that a little bit further. I'm not sure. I would think since it was on a shared calendar, it maybe shouldn't have showed up as tentative. So that could be a limitation of the calendar software I'm using. I was using it with Microsoft Outlook.com, which is different from Microsoft Outlook, which is a desktop app and a hosted, like Exchange has that hosted. It also works with Google Calendar and a couple of other services. Let's see. I wanted to talk about another weird case that I encountered with Amy Ingram, the x.ai bot. It was kind of interesting because a friend of mine, I didn't know, but he was on vacation in Florida. Obviously, you've probably seen from the video, I'm not in Florida. There's a little bit of snow on the ground. It's below freezing. It's Ohio. I like it. It's refreshing. It's invigorating. I don't live in Ohio because I love cold temperatures. I live in Ohio to feel alive. So anyway, yeah, he was on vacation in Florida, and so immediately Amy Ingram got the auto reply and said, "Oh, it looks like he's away. I'm gonna just hold tight and give him a couple days to respond or something." But he did respond, even though he was on vacation, because he wanted to do lunch with me and stuff. We hadn't had lunch in a while, and one of the reasons I like it, even though I don't have a lot of professional lunches, I just like to keep in touch with friends, and so 5 scheduled meetings, those are freebies. I don't have to worry about scheduling it. I just say, you know what, Amy, it's been a long time since I met with this person I really like. Go ahead and make it happen, and then she does. So that's awesome. So anyway, yeah, he was on vacation, so he replied, and then she went into full-on scheduling mode, and like, this guy's on vacation, and she's just like peppering him with emails and all this stuff. So then he actually got a little snippy with her in email. He's like, "Hey, can you like at least relax a little and wait until I get back from vacation or something?" And then I had not been getting any of the emails on this conversation. You can go back later on their website and look at the actual thread she had with them. But I went back and looked, and it was kind of funny to read how their conversation went. And then all I saw was, all of a sudden I get this kind of sheepish mail like, I think so-and-so's mad at me, so I'm just going to let you handle this until I hear otherwise. It's like, another friend, I told him ahead of time that it was an AI, and he just started messing with her, and he was like asking her what she was wearing and all this kind of stuff. And her response, anything that's not scheduling related, she's just like, I'm not sure, I don't see how that applies to what we're trying to accomplish here. So she responds very professionally to it, and then at some point he made some comment, maybe used the foul language or something, and she picked up on that and said, "Hey, he seems really upset, so you should probably take care of this." Also, at any time in this, you can say, "Hey, Amy, I scheduled this meeting, you don't need to worry about it." You can also immediately say, like, if you get called into a meeting or something, just go say, "Hey, I'm taking the day off on Thursday," and she just knows. So it's pretty good overall, but it's in its infancy. And in most of these cases that I've had it's worked very well for a couple of meetings. One of them, I have an attorney friend who works in the neighborhood, and he actually has a real personal assistant, like, who works in his office, flesh and blood human being. And I emailed him and I said, "Hey, it's been a while since we did lunch. If you can, it'd be nice if you could just work with my assistant to find a time that works well for us." And he responded and said, "Oh yeah," and then he CC'd his actual personal assistant on. And then it was funny because his real hired, at least making minimum wage assistant, probably a paralegal, was working with my free AI bot, and they actually scheduled the meeting. And they dealt with a pretty weird situation where I proposed a location, and then he kind of wanted to leave the location for lunch a little more ambiguous, and so he proposed that I meet at his office. And the AI picked up on that and said, hey, he wants to meet at his office. Is that all right with you? And I'm just like, sure. So I wish it would be a little bit more conclusive when something, because I think right now she'll schedule a meeting and she won't send me like a summary. Like she sends me like a weekly summary of all the stuff she's scheduled. So I wish she would say, hey, I put this meeting on your calendar, because I'm actually kind of stuck using 2 calendars right now, and so I have to kind of keep them synchronized manually. And that would help. I don't always actually look at the one that she's using as much as I should. Let's see, what's the other thing? I tried to schedule a meeting just with a whole bunch of people. Like, what it was a meeting with a bunch of friends, and so everyone was optional. I don't really care who I meet with, just as long as I meet with at least one person, but everyone on the list was invited. And she really flipped out at that. First of all, she said I needed to upgrade to like a pro edition to schedule more than, I don't know, maybe like 5 people. I forget the exact number. But then, so I specified an individual who was, so I got a response from 1 out of like the 6 people, which is kind of crappy. And he just said, yeah, I don't care when, just whenever is good for you, let me know. Like, I hate it when people do that. It's like, where do you want to go? When do you want to meet? I don't know. When do you want to meet? It's like, well, we're never going to get anywhere if we both just say, I don't know, I don't care, blah, blah, blah. Just give me a little framework to work on. Tuesdays are good for me. Okay, that's a starting point. But yeah, he said, I don't know. So, and then Amy complained because no one was a required attendee. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually set this one guy as a required attendee. The holidays are coming up, so I'm going to do it after the holidays. And another thing I'd like to see out of her is just a reminder every morning, just kind of a summary. Like, I think a professional would say, oh, by the way, you have these meetings this morning, or you have these meetings today. Probably pretty early in the morning, so like if one's really important, you might be able to dress up instead of dressing casual or whatever. But yeah, it's I'd like a summary, a daily summary, and maybe even like take into account travel time, and kind of give me a heads up and say, hey, and this is something Cortana and a lot of the things already do, so maybe it's a little redundant, but just say, hey, you've got to drive to your meeting and it's like a half hour away, so let me know maybe 45 minutes ahead of time so I can wrap things up and get on the road. But yeah, I'd highly recommend, if you do scheduling, it could really be a real time saver, but you also have to be willing to learn its quirks. And there was one more meeting that I scheduled, and it was ambiguous. I wanted to tell you about it really quick. I scheduled a coffee after work with someone, just a quick touch base, and this was right before Thanksgiving, and they said, how about next Monday? And what they really meant was the Monday after this one, but I confirmed with the help, next Monday to Amy Ingram means the next Monday on the calendar. So I would have handled that by just clarifying the ambiguity by saying, hey, I just wanted to clarify, are you talking about the 18th or whatever? Just clarify that. And Amy Ingram did not clarify, so I luckily it was like right down the street from my house, so I showed up and got some hot chocolate. I'm not a coffee drinker, and sat around, and then like 15 minutes later, I'm like, well, there's no show. And this would have been nice too if she reminded us all of our appointment and all this kind of stuff. But so when she said next Monday and Amy scheduled it for the very next Monday on the calendar, a calendar event went out to everyone, and everyone accepted that appointment. So like, if you have an appointment and you accept it, that kind of makes it impossible for an AI to pick up on the fact that you have accepted an appointment that is in conflict with your understanding of when the meeting would be. So anyway, that totally got screwed up. So yeah, so those are like the big things I've found. I've been using it for probably 30 days. I got a 30-day trial somehow with it. I've seen 14-day trials, but apparently if you do I did a Bing search, I found a 30-day trial for it, and I just clicked that link and I got a 30-day trial. So I tried that, and then I've also got a reminder set to go and scale it back to personal, which I think I'm going to do in my case. If I were a person who spent a lot of time on scheduling and had a lot of mandatory meetings, then I would definitely sign up. But in my case, my meetings are all very, they're for fun. They're, hey, do you want to get together for lunch? I'm kind of bored. I just want to go and take a break from work, and let's go have lunch or something, or do you want to meet for coffee? You can also have it do dinners or anything really. You really can use it for appointments, but you have to specify to her, please schedule me for an eye appointment at my eye doctor's location, and hopefully it'll like pull that stuff out of the online yellow pages or something, but I don't think it does it yet, so you might have to tell her the address, or at least just the venue name. Maybe she can get it from there. So anyway, it sounds really promising. Sounds like it could be a really big time saver. If you want to hear more about this, including some of the where I see the future of AIs going in the immediate future, please like and subscribe. We'll talk more about it soon. And I'd love to hear your comments on this. How are you using AIs? Are there any you've tried? Have you talked to Zoe? What's your take? Personally, I think Zoe is a cop-out. I think they made it something that it's only a little bit better than just saying random stuff. It doesn't really know anything about the world. And I think it's a little bit, it should be a little bit offensive that they made it, they gave it the persona as a teenage girl because they thought that would be fitting, just kind of saying random things and, not, talking in lol speak and all this kind of stuff. Maybe they thought it would give her personality, which I guess, but it's incoherent. And so if I were a teenage girl, I'd be offended that they, kind of insinuated that teenage girls are incoherent, because most teenage girls can be pretty rational. They do pretty well on some advanced subjects, and I really highly doubt that my daughter is going to suddenly become incoherent. But you know what? I've never had a teenager before, so about 10 years, I guess I'm in for it. You tell me. So anyway, I'll see you tomorrow, and or I'll see you some other time. I'm not doing an everyday vlog, but yeah, let me know how you're using AIs, what ones are interesting to you, what funny issues you have. Have you tried the x.ai scheduling one? Are you going to? Do you use Cortana? Do you use Google Now? Do you use Siri? Do you use Alexa? A lot of people are getting Amazon stuff. There's also a Google Home thing that's trying to get in on that space. So anyway, gotta go to work. Talk to you later.